5.5, solving radical equations. When we solve radical equations, we have to make sure we check these, but we are also making sure that the radical is by itself first. So if we look at example 1a, we have 2 square root x plus 1 is equal to 14. So our first thing that we want to do is divide each side by that 2 to get the square root of x plus 1 is equal to 7. The only thing that we can do from here is take the square of, or square each side. That will get rid of that radical sign to leave us with x plus 1 is equal to 49. From here, solve for x. Subtract the 1 from each side, we get that x is equal to 48. So now we got to check. So we have 2 square root 48 plus 1. The 48 plus 1 is the square root of 49, so 2 square root 49, that's 2 times 7, and that is equal to 14. That's 14, we're good. So x is equal to 48. For our next example, we have 5 cube root 4x plus 3 is equal to 15. So again, we're going to get the root by itself, or the radical by itself. We're going to divide each side by 5. Cancels out that 5, so we're going to have the cube root of 4x plus 3 is equal to 3. Because that index is a 3, we're going to raise each side to the power of 3. So the cube root and the power of 3 cancel out to leave us with 4x plus 3. And 3 cubed, 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 3 is 27. From here, solve. Subtract the 3 from each side. We have 4x is equal to 24. Then divide each side by 4. We get that x is 6. If we plugged that in and checked, 4 times 6 is 24. 24 plus 3 is 27. The cube root of 27 is 3. 3 times 5 is 15. So we're good. If we look at C, we have 4 plus the square root of x minus 1 is equal to 5. So we're going to subtract each side by 4. We're going to have the square root of x minus 1 is equal to 1. We're going to square both sides and be left with x minus 1 is equal to 1. We are going to move the 1 over by adding it to both sides. So we're going to have x is equal to 2. If we checked it, we would have 4 plus the square root of 2 minus 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. The square root of 1 is 1. 4 plus 1 is 5. So we're good. For D, we have the cube root of 3x minus 4 is equal to 2. So we're going to start by taking the cube of each side. It's going to cancel out our radical to be left with 3x minus 4 is equal to 2 cubed, which is 8. Move the 4 over by adding it to both sides. We're going to have 3x is equal to 12, and then divide each side by 3 to get x is equal to 4. If we plugged it in, 3 times 4 is 12. 12 minus 4 is 8. The cube root of 8 is 2. Our answer is correct. For our next example, we have 6 square root x plus 10 is equal to 42. So we're going to start by dividing each side by 6. We're going to have the square root of x plus 10 is equal to 7. Square both sides. Get rid of that radical and the power to be left with x plus 10 is equal to 49. Subtract each side by 10. We're going to have x is equal to 39. If you plug that in, you have 39 plus 10, which is 49 underneath the radical. The square root of 49 is 7. 7 times 6 is 42. So your answer is correct. For F, we have the square root of 2x minus 1 is equal to 3. So we're going to start by raising each side to the power of 2. It's going to cancel out our radical and the power to be left with 2x minus 1 is equal to 9. Move the 1 over by adding it. So 2x is equal to 10. Divide each side by 2. We're going to have that x is 5. If you plug that in, you have 2 times 5, which is 10. 10 minus 1 is 9, so the square root of 9 is 3. 3 is equal to 3. For G, we have 2 times the cube root of x minus 1 is equal to 3. So remember, undo addition or subtraction before you undo multiplication or division. So we're going to add the 1 to each side first. We're going to be left with 2 cube root x is equal to 4. Then we're going to divide each side by 2. So we left with the cube root of x is equal to 2. We're going to take each side and raise it to the power of 3. It's going to get rid of our radical and our power on the left side to be left with x, and 2 cubed is 8. So x is equal to 8. The cube root of 8 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 1 is 3. So our answer is correct. Sometimes we're going to have equations with 2 radicals. That is fine. The only thing we have to do is square both sides. Okay, so if we look at example 2a, we have the square root of 35x is equal to 5 times the square root of x plus 2. So we're going to start by squaring each side. Now, when we square that right side, we have to remember that that 5 on the outside of the radical is being squared as well. So that 5 is going to turn into a 25, and it's going to be times x plus 2. So we're going to have 35x is equal to 25 times x plus 2. We're going to distribute the 25 to leave us with 35x is equal to 25x plus 50. We're going to subtract each side by the 25x to get our x's by themselves. And we're going to be left with 10x is equal to 50. Divide each side by 10, and x is equal to 5. If you plugged the 5 in, the 35 times 5 is going to leave you with 5 square root 7. Then the other side is going to be 5 square root 5 plus 2, which is 5 square root 7. So both sides are going to equal the same thing. For B, we have the square root of 8x plus 6 is equal to 3 square root x. So again, we're going to take each side and square it. It's going to cancel out our radicals and raise that 3 to a power of 2 as well. So we're going to be left with 8x plus 6 is equal to 9x. Get your x's by themselves, subtract the 8x from each side, and you're going to be left with 6 is equal to x. You can plug it in and check as well. 48 plus 6 is 54. The square root of 54 is the same thing as 3 square root 6. 3 times the square root of 6 is 3 square root 6. For our next example, we have the cube root of the x plus 6 is equal to 2 cube root x minus 1. So because our index here is a 3, we're going to raise each side to the power of 3. So this cube root of 3 and the power of 3 on the left is going to cancel out to leave us with x plus 6. We're going to cube the 2 and get rid of the cube root and the power on the right side. So it's going to be 8 times x minus 1. We're going to distribute the 8 to give us x plus 6 is equal to 8x minus 8. Get your x's by themselves. I'm going to subtract the x from each side to leave us with 6 is equal to 7x minus 8. We're going to add the 8 to both sides to get 14 is equal to 7x. Then we're going to divide by 7 and be left with x is equal to 2. Again, if you plug it in and check, you get 2 is equal to 2, so we're all good. For D, we have 3x minus 5 square root x is equal to 2. So again, we want to get everything on the same side. That's not a radical here because we don't have a radical on both sides. So we're going to move the 3x over first by subtracting it. This is going to leave us with negative 5 square root x is equal to 2 minus 3x. Then we're going to divide each side by the negative 5. We can actually rewrite this as the square root of x is equal to 3x minus 2 over 5. So I just switched the order on the top and changed the sign to make sure that 5 was positive underneath. From here, we're going to take the square of both sides. When we do this, we are multiplying 3x minus 2 times 3x minus 2, and then the 5 times 5 on the bottom. So the 3x times 3x is 9x squared. 3x times negative 2 is negative 6x. Negative 2 times 3x is negative 6x. Negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4. And this is all going to go over 25. From here, combine your like terms. That negative 6x minus 6x is going to be 12x. So we're going to have x is equal to 9x squared minus 12x plus 4 all over 25. Now, if you realize here, your numerator has a least common denominator of, no, it doesn't, I'm sorry. If it did, you could factor out that least common denominator, and if you can simplify, you can. But in this case, because that 4 is there, we don't have a least common denominator, so you leave it alone. If we look at example 3a, we're doing the same thing. We're getting rid of the radical here. So we're going to take each side and we're going to square it. We're going to have to FOIL as well. Okay, so we're going to have x plus 18 is equal to x minus 2 times x minus 2. We're going to do x times x, which is x squared. X times negative 2 is negative 2x. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. And negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4. And we're going to keep that x plus 18. We're going to combine like terms and get everything on the same side as that x squared. Because we have the x squared, we're going to have to solve by factoring. We are going to have x plus 18 is equal to x squared minus 4x plus 4. We're moving the x over by subtracting it. We're moving the 18 over by subtracting it. So this is going to give us x squared minus 5x minus 14 is equal to 0. Your factors of negative 14 that add up to be the negative 5, are negative 7 and positive 2. So we're going to have x minus 7 times x plus 2 is equal to 0. From here, set each of them equal to 0 and solve for x. We're going to move the 7 over by adding it. We have x is equal to 7. We're going to move the 2 over by subtracting it and have x is equal to negative 2. You need to check these. When we check, we're going to plug the 7 in. So we're going to have the square root of 7 plus 18 is equal to 7 minus 2. 7 plus 18 is going to give us 25. So that's the square root of 25 is equal to 5. And that is 5 is equal to 5. So this x is equal to 7 is a solution. However, the x is equal to negative 2. Plug that in. You have the square root of negative 2 plus 18 is equal to negative 2 minus 2. Negative 2 plus 18 is 16. Negative 2 minus 2 is negative 4. The square root of 16 is positive 4. Positive 4 is not equal to negative 4. So that x is equal to negative 2 is an extraneous solution. So the only one that we have that's a solution is the x is equal to 7. If we look at our next example, B, we have the square root of 2x plus 14 is equal to x plus 3. So again, we are going to square both sides. We can also just multiply the x plus 3 times itself. It's going to get rid of the radical on the left side, so it's going to be 2x plus 14 is equal to, FOIL the other side, x squared plus 6x plus 9. Move everything over with the x squared so we can factor in order to solve. So we're going to subtract the 2x from each side. We're going to also subtract the 14 from each side. So we're going to have x squared plus 4x minus 9 minus 14 is going to give us 5. negative 5 is equal to 0. So now your factors of negative 5 that add up to be a 4 are x minus 1 times x plus 5 is equal to 0. So set both of them equal to 0. So x minus 1 is equal to 0. X plus 5 is equal to 0. Solve for x. Add the 1. X is equal to 1. Subtract the 5. X is equal to negative 5. Check them both. So with the 1, we're going to have the square root of 2 times 1 plus 14 is going to be equal to the x plus 3, which is 1 plus 3. So 2 times 1 is 2. 2 plus 14 is 16. The square root of 16 is 4. 1 plus 3 is also 4. So that x is equal to 1 is a solution. Check the negative 5. You have the square root of 2 times negative 5 plus 14 is equal to negative 5 plus 3. The square root of anything is not going to equal a negative 2. So this is not a solution. This one here is an extraneous solution. So the only solution that we have is the x is equal to 1. For C, we have the square root of negative 9x plus 28 is equal to negative x plus 4. So we're going to square each side. We are going to actually multiply the negative x plus 4 by itself. This is going to leave us with negative 9x plus 28 is equal to x squared minus 4x minus 4x plus 16. So this is negative 9x plus 28 is equal to x squared minus 8x plus 16. From here, add the 9x, subtract the 28 from each side. This is going to leave us with x squared plus x minus the 16 minus 28 is 12. Negative 12 is equal to 0. Our factors of negative 12 that add up to 1 are x minus 3x plus 4 is equal to 0. So we're going to solve for both. X minus 3 is equal to 0. X plus 4 is equal to 0. Move the 3 over by adding it. We have x is equal to 3. Move the 4 over by subtracting it. We have x is equal to negative 4. So check for both of these. So we're going to have the square root of negative 9 times 3 plus 28 is equal to negative 3 plus 4. So negative 9 times 3 is negative 27 plus 28. The square root of 1 is equal to 1. The negative 3 plus 4 is 1. And 1 is equal to 1, so that x is equal to 3 is a solution. Try the negative 4. We're going to have the square root of negative 9 times negative 4 plus 28 is equal to negative times negative 4 plus 4. So negative 9 times negative 4 is 36 plus 28. The 36 plus 28 is 64. The square root of 64 is 8. On the other side, the negative times the negative is a positive. 4 plus 4 is 8, and 8 is equal to 8, so that is a solution as well. So both of these are solutions in this case. For D, we have the square root of 2x plus 5 is equal to 2 times the square root of 2x plus 1. So again, we're going to square both sides here. On the right side, we're going to multiply each side by 2, square root 2x plus 1. Left side, radical cancels, so it's 2x plus 5. Right side, 2 times 2 is 4. The square root of 2x times the square root of 2x is the square root of 4x squared. the 2 times 2x, the 2 radical 2x times 1 is 2 radical 2x. 1 times 2 radical 2x is 2 radical 2x, and 1 times 1 is 1. So simplify this. 2x plus 5 is equal to 4 times 2x plus 4 square root 2x plus 1. 4 times 2x is 8x, so that's 2x plus 5 is equal to 8x plus 4 square root 2x plus 1. From here, you have to keep going with this. So we're going to move the 8x over, get the radical by itself. We're subtracting it. We're going to move the 1 over by subtracting it. So this is going to leave us with negative 6x plus 4 is equal to 4 square root 2x. From here, you have to square both sides in order to get rid of that radical. So the other side, we're going to have the negative 6x times negative 6x is 36x squared. Negative 6x times 4 is a negative 28x. The 4 times negative 6x is negative 24. Negative 24x, sorry. And minus 24x. And 4 times 4 is 16. The 4 times 4 is 16 times 2x. So this is going to leave us now with 36x squared minus 48x plus 16 is equal to 16 times 2x is 32x. So from here, we're going to move that 32x over by subtracting it. And we're going to be left with 36x squared minus 80x plus 16 is equal to 0. We have a greatest common factor here, which is 4. So we're going to factor out of 4. And we're going to be left with 4 times 9x squared minus 20x plus 4 is equal to 0. This we can factor as well. So that way we can do 9 times 4 is 36. The factors of 36 that add up to be negative 20 are going to be negative 18 and negative 2. So this is going to go out to be the 9x squared minus 18x minus 2x plus 4 is equal to 0. So now we're going to factor by grouping. Divide out a 9x from the first, divide out a negative 2 from the second. So this is going to be 9x minus 2 times what would be left over, x minus 2 is equal to 0. From here, set each part equal to 0 and solve. So we're going to have 9x minus 2 is equal to 0, and x minus 2 is equal to 0. Add the 2, divide by 9. We're going to have x is equal to 2 over 9. With the other, add the 2. You just have x is equal to 2. So now, you got to check all of these. So, x is equal to 2 over 9, x is equal to 2. Let's try both. Alright, so for the 2 over 9, we're going to have the square root of 2 times 2 over 9 plus 5 is equal to 2 times 2 times the radical square root of 2 times 2 over 9 plus 1. Alright, so let's work with this. So we have 2 times 2 square root 9 is going to be 4 square root 9. 4 over 9 plus 5, which is also something over 9. So 45 over 9. So 4 plus 45 is 49 over 9. The square root of that is 7 over 3. with the other. The 2 times 9 is 4 over 9. So that's 2 times the square root of 4 over 9 plus 1. That ends up being 2 times 2 over 3 plus 1. 2 times 2 over 3 is 4 over 3 plus 1 or something over 3, so 3 over 3. That's going to give us 7 over 3. They are both equal to one another, so this is a solution. The x is equal to 2/9 is a solution. Try the 2 as well. We're going to have the square root of 2 times 2 plus 5 is equal to 2 square root 2 times 2 plus 1. So 2 times 2 is 4, plus 5 is going to give us 9. The square root of 9 is 3. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 square root 4 is going to be 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is not 3. So this x is equal to 2 is an extraneous solution. The only one that is our solution is the x is equal to 2/9. It's really tiny. All right, so looking at our next set of examples. For example 4a, we have 3x minus 1 raised to the 1/5 power is equal to 2. So this is going to turn into the 5th root of 3x minus 1 is equal to 2. And then from here, we're going to have to raise each side to the 5th power to get rid of that radical. So it's going to be 3x minus 1 is equal to 2 to the 5th power, which is 32. Now we just solve for x, add the 1 to both sides. We have 3x is equal to 33. Then we divide by 3. We get x is equal to 11. Now if we check these, 11 times 3 is 33. 33 minus 1 is 32. The 5th root of 32 is 2. So we're okay here. For b, we have x is equal to x plus 12 raised to the 1/2 power. So this is the same thing as x is equal to the square root of x plus 12. We're going to square both sides. So this is x squared is equal to x plus 12. We're going to move everything over to the other side with the x squared. So we're going to be left with x squared minus x minus 12 is equal to 0. We can factor this to be x minus 4 times x plus 3 is equal to 0. Then we're going to set each of them equal to 0 and solve. So we're going to add the 4, get x is equal to 4. We're going to subtract the 3. We get x is equal to negative 3. Now check these. When you check, we're going to have 4 is equal to the square root of 4 plus 12. 4 is equal to the square root of 16. And 4 is equal to 4. So that one's a solution. Try the negative 3. Negative 3 is equal to the square root of negative 3 plus 12. Negative 3 is equal to 9, the square root of 9. And negative 3 is not equal to 3. So this one here is extraneous. For C, we have x plus 5 to the 1/3 power is equal to 3. So this is going to turn into the cube root of x plus 5 is equal to 3. Raise each side to the power of 3. These will cancel, so x plus 5 is equal to 3 cubed, which is 27. We're going to move the 5 over by subtracting it. So x is equal to 22. plug it in. 22 plus 5 is 27. The cube root of 27 is 3. We're good. So this is correct. For D, we have 2x plus 5 raised to the 1/2 power is equal to x. So we're going to rewrite this as the square root of 2x plus 15 is equal to x. We're going to square both sides, get rid of that radical. So we have 2x plus 15 is equal to x squared. We're going to move everything over with that x squared, so we would subtract the 2x, we would subtract the 15, and we left with x squared minus 2x minus 15 is equal to 0. From here, factor. Your factors of negative 15 that add up to be negative 2 are x minus 5 times x plus 3 is equal to 0. Set them both equal to 0 and solve. We're going to add the 5. So x is equal to 5. We're going to subtract the 3. So x is equal to negative 3. From here, check them. If we do the 5 first, we're going to have the square root of 2 times 5 plus 15 is equal to 5. 2 times 5 is 10. 10 plus 15 is 25. The square root of 25 is equal to 5. If we check the negative 3, we have the square root of negative 3 times 2, or 2 times negative 3 plus 15 is equal to negative 3. So 2 times 2, or negative 3 times 2 is 6, plus negative 6 plus 15 is 9. The square root of 9 is not equal to 3, to negative 3. So this negative 3 is an extraneous solution. And then the x is equal to 5 is our other solution. For E, we have 3 times x plus 6 raised to the 1/2 power is equal to 9. So we're going to start by dividing each side by 3 and rewriting this as x plus 6 underneath the radical sign is equal to 3. From here, square both sides. Get rid of the radical in the exponent. So x plus 6 is equal to 9. Move this 6 over by subtracting it. And you have x is equal to 3. Check it. The square root of 3 plus 6 is the square root of 9. The square root of 9 is 3. We're good. Our next examples deal with inequalities. Now, they were doing the same exact thing here. The only difference is you have to remember if you're dividing by a negative or you're multiplying each side by a negative, you have to switch the way that inequality sign opens. So we're going to look at example A and start by squaring each side. So this is going to be x plus 7 is greater than or equal to 2x minus 1. Get the x's by themselves, move it to the 2x. We're going to have 7 is greater than or equal to x minus 1. Then we have the 1 that we are moving over by adding it. So 8 is greater than or equal to x. Rewrite this to where x comes first. X is less than or equal to 8. Because this one is equal to 8, we can pick 8 as a number to plug into our original. So if we check, we're going to have 8 plus 7. The square root of 8 plus 7 is greater than or equal to the square root of 2 times 8 minus 1. So 8 plus 7 is 15. The square root of 15 is greater than or equal to the square root of 16 minus 1, which is the square root of 15. Is the square root of 15 equal to the square root of 15? Yes. So we know that x is greater than or equal to 8. For B, we have the square root of x minus 4 plus 3 is greater than 9. We got to start by moving the 3 over, so subtract it from each side. We're going to have the square root of x minus 4 is greater than 6. Take the square of each side. Cancel out the radical. X minus 4 is greater than 36. Move the 4 over by adding it. So x is greater than 40. You got to pick a number greater than 40. So it's totally up to you which one you do. I would make it easy for myself. So a number greater than 40 that's going to give me the radical of a number. I would use 53. So the square root of 53 minus 4 plus 3 is greater than 9. So 53 minus 4 is 49. The square root of 49 is 7. 7 plus 3 is 10. 10 is greater than 9. So we're okay here. For C, we have the square root 2x plus 4 is less than or equal to 4. So we are going to square both sides to start. So this is going to be 2x plus 4 is less than or equal to 16. Move the 4 over by subtracting it. We have 2x is less than or equal to 12. Then divide each side by 2. We have x is greater than or is less than or equal to 6. Less than or equal to, you can plug 6 in. 2 times 6 is 12. 12 plus 4 is 16. The square root of 16 is 4. 4 is less than or equal to 4. Good. For D, we have the square root of x minus 3 plus 2 is less than or equal to 5. So we're going to start by subtracting 2 from each side. So the square root of x minus 3 is less than or equal to 3. Square both sides. X minus 3 is less than or equal to 9. Move the 3 over, add it. So x is less than or equal to 6. From here, oh sorry, not 6, 12. 9 plus 3, not 9 minus 3. So from here, plug it in. We had the square root of 12 minus 3 is, 12 minus 3 plus 2 is less than or equal to 5. 12 minus 3 is 9. Square root of 9 plus 2 is 7. 3 plus 2. Oh my goodness. 3 plus 2 is 7. And 7 is less than or equal to, wow, oh my goodness. 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 is less than or equal to 5. We're good there. So x is equal to 12. X is less than or equal to 12. For E, my goodness. We have the cube root of x plus 2 is greater than or equal to 1. So we're going to cube each side. 1 cubed is 1. So this is going to leave us with x plus 2 is greater than or equal to 1. We're going to subtract 2 from each side. So x is greater than or equal to negative 1. Plug it in and simplify. You have the cube root of negative 1 plus 2 is greater than or equal to 1. The cube root of 1 is 1. So 1 is greater than or equal to 1. We're good. X is greater than or equal to negative 1.